Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
So when this class will be done, you will be able to know what the general introduction of decimal numbers is, and also you will learn how to write the decimal in tenths. So what this tenths is, we learn in this lesson now. So starting with where you see these decimal numbers in your daily life. So here are some examples. Have you ever seen while measuring weights? So when you weigh yourself and you see that my weight is say 30 kgs, or it is not just 30, it can be 30.56, it can be 30.4, or sometimes, so you see different numbers and you see that decimal point in between, right? This kind of a decimal point is seen when you measure something in weight. Similarly, here the example shows that when you are having a swimming competition, you might have noticed. So what they use a stopwatch, right? So in the stopwatch, we have a very accuracy in the minutes and the seconds, and the even in 1 second they have these 100 divisions, so that are macro divisions of the second. So we see that there also we use these decimals to have the accuracy in the numbers, that is how much time has been taken. Similarly, when you see when you are dealing with money, so you see that it is sometimes students, like here the example is given $4.39, right? So it's 4 in dollars and 39 cents. So this is how you see that decimals are there in your daily life around you, and you even deal with them knowingly or unknowingly, right? So now let us start our today's lesson of decimals. So now I want to start this decimals with the prior knowledge that you have, and then using that knowledge we are going to come up with the concept of decimals. So here the first question is asking you, how many paise are there in 1 rupee? How many paise are there? Say this is 1 rupee. How many paise do you see in 1 rupee? How many? It is 100 paise. Is that right? 100 paise are there in 1 rupee. Now, how many millimeters are there in 1 centimeter? So your scale, you see the divisions on your scale, they are given in centimeters. You see between every two numbers you have 10 small divisions. They are basically the millimeters, right? So 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters, right? Now, how can we write 2 rupees and 50 paisa? So it is 2 is in rupees and 50 is in paise. So we write it as 2.50, and this is in rupees, right? Now, how can you write 5 centimeter and 4 millimeter? So here we write this as 5.4. This is in centimeter. So do you see that here? Because when we are writing 2 rupees 50 paise, we are just writing this particular sign of rupees. We are not writing paisa with it. Similarly, when we are writing 5 centimeter and 4 millimeter in centimeters, we write the decimal number 5.4. We don't need the unit of millimeter then. Okay. Now, let's learn more about this to understand these decimals. When we use dots, right, in order to write some numbers, then that dot is the decimal point. This particular decimal point, this dot that you see in the number here, this is basically representing your decimal. This is used to show part of a whole. I hope you remember really well what we know about the whole numbers, or a whole part, and what is part of a whole, right? Now, let's look at this and understand this with the help of the image that is given. We can write 45.6 as 40 plus 5 plus 6 over 10. I hope this part is very much clear to you. Now, why are we writing 6 over 10? This is something that we are going to learn today. This is tenths. This is the first number which when you see after the decimal point, the place value of that particular number is tenths. Do you know what is the place value of this 5 here? we say this 5 is sitting at the ones place. I hope you know your place value chart. So this number 5 is sitting at the ones place, and this 4 is sitting at the tens place. Is that right? If you see a number 268, so here 8 is sitting at the ones place, 6 is sitting at the tens place, and 2 is sitting at the hundreds place, right? Now, after this 8, if we have a point and we see a number sitting next to it, this particular number, say 4, this is sitting at the tens place. Okay, what does this tens show? If I divide a whole into 10 equal parts and 4 are selected, we write it as 4 over 10 or 4 tenths. Here in the number 45.6 is given, so it is 6 tenths. Is that clear? How do we read it? 6 tenths with a TH at the end. Now look at here. We have got 40, and here they are showing you 40 balls as the complete part to make 40. Then after 40 you have 5. So 5 balls are given, and after that you see that if in a ball we make 10 partitions, so say we have made 10 partitions here. So if we select 6 parts out of these 10, so they are showing you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So total 6 parts are shown to you. Okay. Now let us understand this better. What we are going to understand is tenths, right? As we know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeter. As I said, in your scale, if you look, between two numbers, you will see small 10 divisions. So these small 10 divisions that you see, they are basically representing 10 millimeters. That very small distance that you see, it's basically 1 millimeter, and such 10 millimeters together makes 1 centimeter. Okay. Now, if 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeter, how can I write 1 millimeter? This is the answer. 1 millimeter is written as 1 over 10 centimeter. Okay. 1 centimeter, here 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. Now, if I want to know what is 1 millimeter, what will I do? I'll take this 10 on the left side and it will go here at the denominator. So it will be 1 over 10 centimeters. Is this clear? Please make sure that you will remember such conversions of the units, because this is very important in decimals. Okay. Now, hence the first number after the decimal represents the 10th part of the whole. How are we going to read it? Here the number is shown to you. 3 is sitting at the tens place, 4 is sitting at the ones place, and 7, because it is sitting after the decimal point, it is at the tenths place. There is no ones place after the decimal point. Directly after the decimal point, we have the tenths place. Okay. So we read this as 34.7. Every number that you see after the decimal point needs to be read as it is. Okay. Now, let's see a question to understand this. It says Ravi and Raju measured the lengths of their pencils. Ravi's pencil was 7 centimeter and 5 millimeter long, and Raju's pencil was 8 centimeter 3 millimeter long. Can you express these lengths in centimeter using the decimals? So let us convert the given lengths just into centimeters. Okay. So we are measuring the length of the pencils. So Ravi's pencil measures 7 centimeter and 5 millimeter. So I hope you remember, if 1 millimeter is equal to 1 over 10 centimeter, so how can I write 5 millimeter? It will be, let's just write 7 centimeter as it is, and this is with the plus sign in between, this is 5 over 10 centimeter. Do you see? Instead of millimeter, I have written now centimeter. Why? Because here I have put a 10 at the denominator of 5. I hope this makes sense. Now, Can you convert this 5 over 10 into a decimal number? Yes, we can. This is 7 plus 0.5 because 5 is at the tens place and this is in centimeter. So the answer is 7.5 centimeter and this is the length for Raju's pencil, right? Now let's see what is the length for Ravi's pencil. Now what is the length of Raju's pencil? So I'm sure you can do this very easily. Raju's pencil, or I'll just take, just hold on a second, I'll just take another slide to work this out. We have worked for Ravi's pencil, now it's Raju's pencil that measures 8 centimeter and 3 millimeter. So Raju's pencil measures how much? 8 in centimeters and 3 in millimeters, right? Now, how can we write 3 millimeters in centimeters? As we know that 1 millimeter is equal to 1 over 10 centimeters. So we can write this as 8 centimeter remains itself. Here we put a plus sign and this becomes 3 over 10 centimeters. See, this unit has changed from millimeter to centimeter. Now let us write 3 over 10 in decimal point. So it is 8 plus 0.3 and this whole is in centimeter. Now adding the 2, it is 8.3. Okay, and this is in centimeters. I hope you have understood how we are writing the decimal numbers, right? Now moving ahead. So here the question, let's complete. Can you express the lengths in centimeters? Okay, so we are done. I thought they're asking whose pencil is bigger. So 7.5 is bigger or is 8.3 bigger? So clearly 8.3 centimeters is bigger. Now let's do this. It says that decimals on the place value chart. Okay, so here on the place value chart, it has got tens, then ones, then we have this as the decimal point place. So we are just going to place the decimal points here. And this place is the tenths place. Tenths place is basically represented as 1 over 10. Okay, so let us begin with the A part. Here in the A part, we have got 28. So 28 is basically 2 tens and 8 ones, right? And after the decimal point, do we have any number? No. So let us put a 0 here. Now the next number is 10. So it is 1 in tens, 0 in ones and 0 in tenths. Clear? Now it's a 6. So there is no tens, it's just in ones, that is a 6. And after the decimal point, we can put a 0. So do you see that if a number is not having any decimal point, that means you can simply write that number as 0.0 after it. That means after the decimal point, we don't have anything. Okay. Similarly, 6 is written as 6.0. It's correct. Either you just write a 6 or you write 6.0. Either ways, you'll be correct to do so. Now the D part is 8.1. So 8 in the ones, decimal will follow the decimal place and here we'll have a 1 at the tens. Moving ahead, it is 0.7. So 0 will come at the ones and here we have got a 7. Now the last one, F part is 5.5. So here at the ones we have got a 5. Here the decimal point and here at the tens we have got a 5. I hope it's easy how we can put these decimal numbers in the place value chart. Now let us do the other way around. We are giving the numbers in the place value chart. Let us write these numbers. So it says, can you write the following decimals? So let's do this. So here let's say this is A, B, C and this is D. So let us write for the A part. Here we have in the hundreds 0. In the tens we have got 1. In ones we have got 9 and in tenths we have got a 4. That means here on this line we'll have a decimal point, right? Because decimal point comes between ones and tenths. So always remember. So what number do you see? We see 19.4. Okay. Now the B part, it is all the hundreds, tens and ones are 0. We just have a 3 at the tens. So the number is 0.3. Okay, so we are not writing here 003. We are not writing it like this because it doesn't make sense. You can put as many zeros as much as you want, but that won't matter because they don't hold any value. So instead of that, let us just write 0.3. Now C part, it is 1 at the tens place, 0 at the ones and 3 at the tens. So it is 10.3. Now the D part, we have got a 2 at the hundreds place, then 1 at the ones place we have 5 and 9 at the tens. So the number become 205.9. I hope how we have converted these numbers from the table into the decimal numbers is clear to you. Moving ahead, here we are going to learn how to represent a decimal number on a number line. Okay. To represent decimals on a number line, we have to divide the gap of each number into 10 equal parts as the decimal shows the 10th part on the number. Let's see one example. Say if I want to put 0.3 on the number line. Okay, I hope you remember from one of the lessons where we worked with the fractions. There, when you were converting and putting the numbers in the fractions, do you remember we put a number from 0 to 1? And then how many divisions we make in between? We make the number of divisions that were given as a fraction, right? So if it is 1 over 2, you make 2 divisions, right? If it is 1 over 4, you used to make 4 such divisions. But now the number is 0.3 and 0.3 is basically 3 over 10. Okay, so how many divisions do you need? Now you need 10 divisions. I hope this is clear. The number of divisions between two numbers will depend upon the denominator of the fraction. And here, because the number is 0.3 and 0.3 is basically 3 over 10. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to put 10 divisions between the two numbers 0 and 1. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think I'll miss it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and say 10. So instead of that, let's consider. Okay, I'll just redo it. Okay, so this is the number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 1. Okay, so now we have made 10 divisions between the numbers 0 and 1. So now do you remember, if we are going to represent 3 over 10. So this particular number here will be 1 over 10, 2 over 10, 3 over 10, 4 over 10, 5 over 10, 6, 7, 8, 9 and finally 1 is basically 10 over 10. Is that right? So now, because here we were just supposed to write down where we see 3.0 or we can say 3 over 10. So it is here. So either you write it as 3 over 10 or better, because we are working with the decimal lesson, you must write it into the decimal numbers. So instead of writing 3 over 10, write down this is 0.3. Okay. So this particular mark here, it is basically representing your 0.3 position. Okay. Now let us see what is here in the next slide. Here we are going to do an example to represent the given numbers on the number line. It says show 0.3, 0.5, 0.8 on the number line. So again, look carefully. What do you see? How we can write these decimal numbers into fraction? 0.3 is 3 over 10. 0.5 is 5 over 10. 0.8 is 8 over 10. So how many divisions do you need on a number line? I hope you are clear with this, that we need 10 divisions, right? And how are we supposed to select these numbers? Like, are we supposed to put these numbers between 0 and 1? Or do we need to put it between 1 and 2? In order to answer this question, think whether 0.3 is bigger than 0 or is it less than 0. So it is bigger than 0, right? So here let's put a 0. Okay. Now all the numbers that you see 0 0.3, 0 0.5, 0 0.8, they are all less than 1. Okay. They are all less than 1. So they will lie between 0 and 1. I hope this makes sense. Now let us put these numbers here. It is 0 0.3. So this is 0 0.1, 0 0.2. This one will be 0 0.3. Then we need to put 0 0.5. So this is 0 0.4. This one will be 0 0.5, right? This is 0 0.3. This one is 0 0.5. And now this is 0.6, 0.7. So this one here, this will be 0 0.8, right? And here we have got a 1. I hope this is clear how we have divided from 0 to 1 into 10 divisions and how we write or represent these decimal numbers on a number line. Let us discuss this question in order to understand what we have learned so far even better, right? So let us fill this this table, this place value chart at first. So here, what do we write at the first place is here, because you can see that all these numbers, the maximum number that we have is in tens. So here we write tens, okay, and here we have got ones. Then after that, what do we have? We have a decimal point, and the number that will sit, what number sits next to, like on the right side of the ones on the table is tens. Okay, tens. Now let's put the first number, it's 20.5. So here will come 2, here we'll have a 0, and here we have a 5. Coming to the next one, it is 4.2. So it is 4.2. Is that right? Now we have got a 0.5. So here we'll have a 0, here we'll have a 5. Now the last one is 10.0. So it is 10.0. Are we clear how to represent the numbers on the place value chart? Moving ahead, question number 2. It says write each of the following as decimals. Okay, we are representing these numbers as decimals now. The first number says 2 ones and 5 tenths. So it is, let's just expand this number that is given, these words, into the numbers. So it is 2 times 1, that is 2 ones and 5 tenths. Okay, so this is equal to 2.5. I hope this is clear. Now it says 30 and 1 tenths. So 30 means 3 times of 10. Then we have a plus sign. Then we have 1 over 10. Is that right? We can write this as 30 plus 0.1. And this gives the answer as 30.1. I hope this makes sense now. Let's do the other one. It says write each of the following as decimals. So let us write this number into decimals. It is 30 plus 6 plus 2 over 10. So 2 over 10 is basically, so let's add these two whole numbers first. So this is 36 plus, because it is 2 over 10, we write it as 0.2. Let's add them. It is 36.2. Clear? Now here we have 600 plus 2 is 602. And to it, we are going to add 8 over 10, that is 0.8. So the answer is 602.8. Make sense? Let's do the next one. Let us learn about fractions as decimals. Right? So far we have learned that if we have got 8 over 10, it is 0.8. We have got 3 over 10, it is 0.3, and so on. So we are clear that whenever we see a 10 at the denominator, we write the numerator as 0. That particular number, right? Putting it at the tens place. Now what if we don't have a 10 at the denominator? Then how can we write the fractions as decimals? So see what we need to do. It is easy to write the fraction with 10 as the denominator. But if the denominator is not 10, then we have to find the equivalent fraction with denominator 10. Okay, what do we need to do? we need to find the equivalent fraction, and then we need to find the equivalent fraction with the denominator 10. So here it says convert 12 over 5 and 3 over 2 in decimal form. So let us first work with 12 over 5. So now how are we going to convert to its equivalent? Such that we get 10 as the denominator. So what times 5 will give you a 10 is timesing it by 2. We do the same with the numerator and the answer comes out to be 24. Okay. Now the next one. Here it is 3 over 2, and what can we do in order to make it a 10 at the denominator? We times it by 5, right? So here comes 15 at the numerator. Now, because we need to convert these fractions to decimal forms, so how can we write 24 over 10? 24 over 10. So on dividing, 24 by 10 gives the answer 2.4. Because after the decimal point, we just need a single number because we are dividing by 10. Okay. So similarly, 15 over 10 is 1.5. Is this clear? So the number of zeros that you see at the denominator, you need to see that many numbers after the decimal point. So let us try these questions now. It says write in decimal notation. So the first fraction is given as 3.2. Clearly 2 is not 10, right? So we need to convert this 2 into 10. So how can we do? 3 over 2, we need to convert it into a fraction with the denominator 2. So what do? We times the numerator and denominator by 5. And here it comes 15. How can we write 15 over 10? 15 over 10 is written as 1.5. Clear? The B part, it is 4 over 5. We need to convert it to something that we have got a 10 at the denominator. So what do? We times the 5 by 2. And what is 4 times 2 is 8. So what will be the decimal number? 8 divided by 10 is 0.8. Clear? Now we have 8 over 5. What can I do to convert it as 10 in the denominator? We times it by 2. So 8 times 2 is 16. And the decimal number is 1.6. I hope it is clear how we have converted these given fractions that were not having 10 as the denominator into the decimal numbers. Okay, moving ahead here, let us see decimals as fractions. So far we have worked for fractions to decimals. We know now how to convert a particular given fraction into a decimal. Now we are going to see how we can convert a decimal number into a fraction. Okay, so here it says write 2.5 in a fraction. So it is 2.5. So how can we write 2.5 as 2 plus 0.5? This is how we can write it. How can I write 0.5 in fraction? I can write it as 2 plus 5 over 10. Is this right? Now, I hope you remember that if we don't see any numerator at the bottom, we put 1 as the numerator. Right? So now it is 2 over 1 and this is 5 over 10. How can we add these two fractions? We need to get equivalent fractions for them. Okay? So here it is 5 over 10. Here this is 2 over 1. What is the LCM of 1 and 10? Let's convert them into equivalent fractions. So the LCM will be 10. Right? So here we will have 1 times what number gives 10? It is 10 itself. So 2 times 10 is 20. And 10 times 1 is 10. So 5 times 1 is 5 times 1 is 5. So the answer comes out to be 25 over 10. So this is the fraction how we have written down the given number. Okay. We will learn to do the same even in a short method. However, this is the formal way to work in order to write a decimal number to a fraction number. Now you can also do one thing, because you can clearly see that 25 over 10 is an improper fraction. You can write this into a mixed fraction also. So how do we do that? We divide 25 by 10. So how many times 10 goes into 25? It goes 2 times. So here it will be 20 and the remainder will be 5. So what are we left with? It is 2, 5 over 10. Clear? Now also, what we could have done, instead of working directly with the mixed fraction, we could have first converted this into a simple fraction. We can divide both of these numbers by 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now let us convert 5 over 2 into a mixed fraction. Okay, so dividing 5 by 2, 2 goes into 5 2 times. Here comes a 4 and the remainder is 1. So what are we left with? We have 2, 1 over 2. So this is the final answer in mixed fraction. If you want, you can just write it as improper fraction. If you want, you can write it as the simplest form of a fraction. I hope this is clear.